The war for your wrist isn't going to wind down anytime soon. We've already seen the industry's biggest players take a stab in some cases, multiple ones at perfecting their wearables. ASUS isn't quite as prominent as other names on that list, but that just makes its $200 ZenWatch all the more interesting. The Taiwanese company, probably best known for its quirky phone-tablet hybrids, has put together an inaugural smartwatch that's dripping with style. In fact, it's the first smartwatch I've worn that's ever attracted random compliments from passers-by in 2 countries, no less, not to mention the first one that didn't make me feel like a complete nerd while wearing it. Alas, it takes more than just a sweet face to make a smartwatch worth owning. ASUS's first Android Wear watch is one of the most stylish we've seen, and feels great on the wrist, to boot. Unfortunately, it suffers from mediocre battery life, an erratic heart monitor and an unsightly bezel surrounding the screen. In the end, though, the ZenWatch's balance of looks, performance and relatively low price make it a worthy choice for anyone who wants an Android Wear device and doesn't want to wait for all those second-gen models to come out. A sense of style and personality is crucial for wearables. It's the difference between tossing something in the drawer after it's technically obsolete and wearing it anyway just because you like it. The ZenWatch falls squarely into that latter category, at least as far as I'm concerned. ASUS has put together a handsome, understated piece of kit that many people will feel proud wearing. So what's so nice about it? Well, for starters, the simple, curved chassis is hewn from 2 layers of stainless steel sandwiching a rosy gold, steel midsection that helps to break up what otherwise would have been a monotonous, 75-gram silver slab. It might not be everyone's cup of tea, but I think the rounded 2.5D body and two-tone trim were smart decisions. They make the watch feel understated and classy in a market that all too easily forgets what those words mean. In that respect, the ZenWatch lands somewhere in between the first, utilitarian batch of Android Wear watches and newer, flashier models like the Moto 360 and LG G Watch are definitely not a bad niche to camp out in. You might not agree with ASU's design choices, but you can't blame the company for shooting for style when it has the same dual-core 1.GHz Snapdragon 400 and 512 of RAM that has popped up in nearly every other Android Wear watch to date. There's also 4GB of flash storage under the hood in case you want to listen to music on the run without having to lug around the phone while you're at it, though that's hardly novel either. My review unit came with a caramel-colored, stitched leather wristband that's both fetching and comfortable, a proposition that's tougher to nail than you might think. I'm no watch maven, but I've come across plenty of pretty leather straps that are too stiff and creaky until they're properly broken in. Not so here. The ZenWatch's band felt supple on my wrist from the get-go. And hey, you can swap out that stock leather band with any other 22mm strap you've got lying around. That's probably for the best too, especially if you're the sort to wear snug shirts. At its biggest, the metallic clasp that lashes one end of the band to the other is even thicker than the watch itself, making it sometimes troublesome to pull a sleeve over. On the plus side, the ZenWatch's body is water resistant, so it'll survive bathroom splashes and other accidents. Just try to keep the water away from all that leather. Right, that's enough fawning. Let's get to the disappointing stuff. Sitting right up top is the square, 1.63-inch AMOLED screen swathed in the de rigueur panel of Corning's Gorilla Glass 3 to keep it from getting banged up. Unfortunately, there's quite a bit of bezel separating the ring of steel trim from the screen itself, and it's probably the most disappointing thing about the ZenWatch's looks. All that unused space makes the screen seem smaller than it actually is. And it doesn't help that the bezel has a slightly textured look as if it's just begging to be noticed. Some better button placement would have helped a lot, too. We'll dig into the software in a bit, but here's a quick spoiler. The folks at ASUS seem to be huge fans of the analog clock aesthetic, so a crown wouldn't look too out of place on the ZenWatch. Frankly, it'd make a much better power button than the one we actually got. It's a tiny little thing that sits flush with the rest of the body, so it's tough to find by feel alone. Let's just get this out of the way now. The ZenWatch's 1.63-inch AMOLED screen isn't eye-catchingly round like some others out there, but that's no reason to write it off. After all, didn't the wise bard note ages ago that it's hip to be square? Painfully dated jokes aside, the screen's generally a pleasure to cast your eyes on, even if those peepers have been spoiled by the smartphone the watch is connected to. It runs at 320 x 320, that's a pixel density of 278 ppi, if you're keeping count, making it marginally crisper than the G-Watch R, though Sony's smartwatch 3 still beats it by a hair. Your eyes almost certainly won't notice a few extra pixels per linear inch, though, so there's not much point in getting too worked up over pixel density. The ZenWatch's display is more than crisp enough to please all but the most scrutinous screen snobs. Oh, and since you'll be glancing down at an AMOLED screen, the bold colors Google likes are lively and vibrant with deep, sumptuous blacks to match. We're still a ways off from the holy grail, a digital watch face that's as crisp and substantial as a physical one. But this generation of wearables hasn't exactly left us wanting either.